If you are a startup founder, your board or your set of investors are not trying to oust you from your company. This is a common misconception I see on this app, and I think it's mostly propagated by Silicon Valley. But basically, your board does not want to run a company. There are no venture capitalists who have enough time to be running, a portfolio of 20 to 25 companies. Nobody wants to get rid of a founder either because it's messy. There's a ton of legal that you have to go through, and it's just ugly for everybody involved. They don't want to be making every decision, right? The board and the purpose of the board is to try to keep accountability, right? You need people eventually who can decide on a founder's income. They can decide on executive comp. They can talk about how to hire employees, define strategy, assuming your board is competent and like, let's face it, I've seen a lot of really incompetent boards, but if your board's competent, it's made up of industry experts, it's made up of people who know what they're doing. It's a valuable resource that founders should be bouncing ideas off of. They should be giving assignments, they should be forcing them to make introductions, and it should be a resource, not something to be feared. A lot of people fear the board. Nobody wants to oust a founder. I've seen it very, very rarely in my career. Obviously, when it happens, it's super public. Also, founders are very good at using media. A lot of the people who deserve or who get ousted deserve to be ousted. And then you'll see them go on these media rants, and what ends up being published in the papers ends up being very different than what happened behind closed doors because there's limits to what everyone can say. There's a ton of NDAs. Anyways, all that to say, do not fear the board. Do not fear losing voting controls, right? As long as your interests are aligned with the interests of the venture capitalist, which, let's face it, being successful correlates directly to making money, then you are in good shape as a startup founder and you should trust the board and rely on the board.